Welcome back as we focus on the pests. And I mean, literally, the little pests that are driving us insane. Summer brings warmth and sunshine, which we love, but it's also the prime time for pests, from ants to rodents to mosquitoes, even maggots that come with that summer heat. I think a lot of people are going, yeah. Well, these uninvited guests can be more than just a nuisance. And Jody Hickey from Cova Pest Control, some of the best in the business, join us to share some tips on how to keep our homes pest-free and safe this season. Jody, thank you so much for being here. Busy time for you, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Maybe let's start with the usual suspects. What are when you kind of build your attack plan for the year, what are the major pests that come into your focus, your bullseye?
So the most common pests are obviously your cockroaches and your ants. However, in the last couple of months, especially this summer, we've been finding quite a lot of bird mites, rodents, obviously your flies, wasps. So that's been quite general, but bird mites has been quite a big thing lately compared to previous years. Obviously the birds are nesting, and out of your roof comes this bird mite, so that's been quite hectic, yes.
And these can affect young children on a number of different levels. I think a lot of us are looking for more sustainable ways of dealing with this, but the bottom line is, and you said this beautifully off camera, they're not moving into our territory, we're moving into their territory. So this is going to happen. There is an overlap. So let's start with the usual suspects again. Let's maybe focus on ants and cockroaches who don't really need a season, they are there. What is a good eco-friendly way of pushing back?
So eco-friendly refers to obviously being safe for the environment, but also non-toxic.
Yeah, so, for pets, for your kids, yeah.
Correct. So your natural sort of methods of controlling the cockroaches and ants are obviously your peppermint oil, your pure peppermint oil you can mix with water. Those are quite good for deterring ants. You're going to have to spray it around your house quite often, I'd say 3 to 4 times a week, as well as eucalyptus oil. Mix that with some water, spray it around your house. That works quite well in repelling cockroaches. Alternatively, once every 3 months to 6 months, you could just contact a pest control company that uses obviously eco-friendly methods.
Yeah, and I know we've come a long way in the game. It's no longer just 1 or 2 options here. I know that you guys can become quite nuanced. My area, and I should have known, when I went to go and view my wonderful house in the southern suburbs, I didn't at first pick up the amount of mosquitoes that had been hit on the walls, and now I understand. It feels like we're going through a wave of mosquitoes, and I don't know if that's because we're going through a heat wave or something like that. How do we deal with mosquitoes? I've heard moving air is great, and that does kind of help in some senses, but is there something that has a bit more gravitas?
Absolutely. So there are 3 ways. I think the first way is always to inspect your home.
Okay.
Or inspect the outside of your home for stagnant water.
Yes.
A place that most people don't look at is your gutters. There could be water in the gutters that's trapped behind leaves. That's a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. Inside of your home, using citronella candles or oils, that works quite well. However, a lot of people don't like the fragrance. My suggestion would be getting a mosquito or an outdoor mosquito trap, because that is preventing versus curing.
For sure.
Capturing and trapping them outside would obviously not allow them to come into your home.
Okay, for sure. And I suppose, because these little mini ecosystems, when you take out a spider, for instance, that's worth his weight literally times 100 in mosquitoes. So we've got to be aware of that balance. And I think why the eco-friendly becomes a firm focus. I think there is nothing more terrifying than finding maggots on your property. With the heat, it seems to take just 24 hours can spawn, countless. How do we manage that? What do we do with the waste that's going into our bins? If those bins are sitting in the sun, it just seems to, exponentially increase the risk.
So with the flies, obviously, that brings the maggots, right? So you have to make sure that you are closing your garbage or your rubbish correctly. Securing them, throwing them, tying them with a knot, making sure you're putting them in your bins correctly. Some people put it on the side of the bin. The odor attracts the flies, and that's how the maggots basically come into being.
Because and it's the meat that they want. It's that rotting meat that'll attract them literally from miles. You've mentioned the mites, which I can imagine for kids and allergic reactions and things like that, a big problem. Are there any pests that have really raised your alarm bells? I mean, you mentioned black widows a little bit earlier, which is terrifying to me. Anything that gets you nervous, keeps you up at night?
So there's one specific pest that pose a massive risk. That is termites. I mean, they pose a threat of literally destroying a complete structure. However, in terms of health risk, your cockroaches and your rats, so both of them carry a bacteria that can result in diseases such as diarrhea or even more severe illnesses as well.
All right. Okay, so I love the fact that for thousands of years we've been battling these guys. So the pests, they are pests for a reason, but we have help in our corner. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We're going to continue this chat. If you guys at home have any questions, we have the experts in the house today. Please, Jodie's not going anywhere. If you've got any hacks as well, anything that works in your area or you're experiencing something extreme, let us know. You can hit us up on the Expresso social media pages. We'd love to hear from you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and we are still diving deep into the world of pest control with Jodie in the building. Now, this is something that I had to jump on board for the second part because I've been struggling being outside, getting attacked by all things. So I'm hoping Jodie can help me as well. So we're going to be uncovering the lesser known but equally troublesome pests that often escape our attention, but they need to be dealt with now before it becomes a bigger problem. Thanks for that convo earlier. Really, some great tips already that I'm going to start incorporating into the household. I hope they work. Yeah. I hope they work. We're going to find out.
Well, I think that's the thing, is you just got to keep trying different things until you find that solution. I think maybe trying to get an understanding, because often what freaks us out the most might not necessarily be the most dangerous. And when we're thinking about the safety of our family, what is your major concern? What advice do you give families that you support? How do we keep the whole little ecosystem safe, man?
So I think what we need to understand is, what does pest control mean? The word control you could probably replace with prevention.
Yeah.
So most of our clients that we've have received over the last couple of months have called us with an issue that they have now, and by then there's already an infestation.
The damage is done.
So I try to educate the clients by saying, look, pest control is preventing an issue, and by that I say regular pest control or regular pest prevention methods would help with preventing infestations. It helps with, in terms of your termites, it helps with limiting the damage caused to your property. A big thing is obviously the health of your kids and your pets.
Pets as well,
In terms of your home, you obviously reduce the possible bacteria carried by them, especially in your restaurants. The restaurants that deal with the food, regular on a monthly basis, they need to make sure they use pest.
And often those restaurants will be in high density areas as well, where there's a lot of them crammed together,
And then, in the long run, pest control solutions will help, in the long run, it will help save money, but reduce the possibility of a future infestation.
For sure.
So are you actually saying then that before I actually see a problem, and especially after listening to this conversation, I should actually maybe get some pest control implementation started now before it actually becomes bigger later? Is that what you're suggesting? Invest in that future of not having these things come around or get bigger?
Absolutely. So it's hard to sell that to someone because they don't see an issue. Why spend money on that? However, spending a 10 rand now, for example, versus a, fixing up your home.
I was going to say 1,000 rand on a new ceiling board,
is necessary.
Okay.
Correct.
I suppose this then speaks to understanding. I use the term ecosystem in this case, which is our house, but I suppose it's understanding the danger areas. And you've mentioned mosquitoes, even a drain pipe or something like that, but a little bit of fetid water, a little bit of water standing can be a problem. What do we need to look for in our house that could potentially be a problem? What invites the pests in?
So I think the common saying in the pest control industry is the first line of defense is cleanliness.
Yes.
Right? I always recommend, often on a daily, sweeping your home, mopping. If you have carpets, vacuuming.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, your rubbish, always closing the packets, throwing them away in your bin. But also regular inspection of your home. Walking around your home, checking. If you're seeing a couple of ants that you think can just spray it, that is the first signs of, they're looking for a new home.
There are never just a couple of ants.
Exactly.
I think the rule with ants is there are never a couple.
For sure. Dealing with that right now.
And the same with cockroaches. If you see one or two, just know that they are looking to breed. They're looking for a new home. And that is why...
Not on my watch, buddy.
Challenge accepted. Listen, I know you had a great chat earlier. You were giving some great tips and some sort of products that can work. Are there, in general, any sort of other non-toxic, sort of eco-friendly options that we do have just before we round this conversation out? Because I think a lot of us are going to probably head to the shops now, going to probably head to getting this arsenal of like pest control sort of jacked up in our households. Is there anything you can add to that list just so that we can be more practical about this? Anything on the top of your mind?
Yeah, so you have to be safe. Obviously, your kids as well, your pets are obviously first and foremost the most important, right? In terms of rodents, bait boxes. So we have these bait boxes. It is lockable with a key, so kids and pets
Can't access
it.
them.
Okay, brilliant.
However, they are extremely effective for your rats and mice. For your flying insects, like I mentioned earlier, your outside traps, for flies, for your mosquitoes, they are the best way to make sure or prevent them from coming into your home and causing an issue there. And then in terms of your crawling insects, obviously contacting a pest control company that provides eco-friendly solutions to manage that. That's always the best.
And there's some amazing gels and things like that that last a long time, and you'd be surprised. It's like behind ovens.
Yeah.
A mate of ours, Sean, our cameraman, inside a dishwasher. It'll freak you out. Okay, so I would imagine there are a couple of all the emotional cleaners are cleaning right now. They've stopped washing. But for the rest of us, let's take a look at our social media platform, see what you guys had to say. And Gary, welcome. Gary, I knew you would weigh in. He said, I let my aircon run all night. I'm assuming that's for the mosquitoes. Doesn't have to be hot or cold as long as a fan is blowing. Here. Also, check your property for stagnant water because that's where they breed. Two fantastic
Gary,
tips. The moving air
through,
has helped us a lot, but I've got like a, 7,000 kilowatt fan above my son. So when he wakes up in the morning, his hair is like this, but it works, man. It works.
It works, I guess. Look, there's more comments that have come through. We got one from Nick Lombard who says, I have a huge mozzie net that covers my whole bed and citronella oil candles. That's the only way to go. I've heard mixed results on the citronella candle. Does it work on your side? Have you heard some positive results?
It helps. It does help, but a lot of people don't like the fragrance. They don't like the smell. Some I've heard of people complain about the next morning having sort of a strong little feeling in their nose.
Citronella nose.
It feels a bit toxic-y. It does. I don't think that's a real term, toxic-y. I don't think that adjective exists. But I think you certainly don't want too many things that aren't natural in your space like that. Then Mary weighing in saying, I like the mosquito
coil.
Coil. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes keep the fan on the whole night so it can blow them away. When using the stronger pesticides, when using poisons, essentially, let's be honest, what are the dangers? Is there a line? Is it okay for you to just spray all night and just suck it up? What are your feelings in that space?
So you have to bear in mind that anything that is created to kill will be poisonous.
To you as well.
Correct. However, the supplier often, or on the chemical, they give a clear instruction that we have to follow by law on how to turn that poison into being eco-friendly. So we dilute it a certain way to make sure that it is not only safe for kids, pets, humans, but still effective for the pests.
Scale is on our side. We are bigger than them, and we will rely on that. Jody, thank you so much, man. You've been an absolute gem this morning.
Honestly, I think everyone in the household is a little bit more jacked up, and we definitely are more educated, and that's thanks to you. But this is a great conversation. Perfect timing for it. So, Mzansi, I hope you are officially sorted. You can reach out to Jody maybe if you need some more assistance. But I think those are enough tips for you to get your household jacked up and sorted and maybe pest-free for the rest of the season. But remember, regular maintenance is better than anything else. For now, though, we're going to carry on with some more great conversations and commend some great workers in the field of health.